Big butts for men are the surprising, sexy fitness trend for 2024. A couple of weeks ago, a client of mine sent across an article which covered this exact topic. And of course, I agree. Six-pack abs have always been extremely desired. And over the last few years, having a well-developed butt has become more and more trendy. These are now two of the most desired muscle groups. The problem is, people think it's impossible to grow a well-developed set of glutes whilst at the same time revealing six-pack abs. For me, this isn't true, and today I'm going to show you what I'm putting in place to achieve exactly that in Prep for America. For reference, I leave in around 5 weeks' time, and the goal for me is to maintain or even gain muscle in my glutes whilst getting leaner at the same time. To gain muscle, most people think it's essential to be in a calorie surplus. This is eating more calories than you burn, therefore doing the exact opposite of what it takes to get six-pack abs. To get a six-pack, you need to be at a lean enough body fat percentage to reveal them. If you're not lean enough, your abs will be covered by body fat on your stomach. And to lose this body fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit, which is the opposite of a surplus, so burning more calories than you consume. And this is why most people think these two things can't go hand in hand. You can't grow glutes or gain muscle anywhere else for that matter whilst losing body fat. People seem to think it's impossible, but I'm here to show you it's not. As an example, I've been training for 8 years and these clips are around 9 months apart. The video on the left is me at a higher body fat percentage with 37.5 inch glutes, and the clip of me on the right is from yesterday, much leaner with almost 39 inch glutes. And as we know, an inch can go a long way. Because I'm an advanced lifter with years and years of training experience, it's harder for me to add muscle at this stage. Yet I've still managed to add over an inch to my glutes whilst getting leaner. If you're a beginner or intermediate lifter watching this, I'd actually say it's easier for you since you're further from your genetic potential, meaning you have more muscle to gain. This means your journey to achieving this is probably going to be even faster than what I have achieved over the last 9 months, provided you are implementing the two things which I'm going to chat about now. So let's get into it. We're going to break this down into 2 parts, starting with your training. To gain muscle in your glutes or anywhere on your body for that matter, you need to implement something called progressive overload. A simple way of describing this is to add an extra rep or slightly more weight each time you perform an exercise. So I've taken a screenshot from my app to show you an example of progressive overload on the barbell squat. From week 1 to week 2, we added 5 kg to the bar whilst performing the same amount of reps. From week 2 to week 3, we added 2 extra reps with the same weight. Both of these are examples of progressive overload. As long as over time you are lifting more weight or adding reps with the same weight on the same exercise, you are implementing progressive overload. Another way to implement progressive overload is by training more often. So for example, if you're currently only training your legs and glutes once per week, increase this to 2 or even 3 times a week. For example, with me at the moment and over the last 9 months, I've been making sure to train my glutes twice per week. And if you want to speed this process up even more, you can spend longer doing so. For example, if you're currently spending 30 minutes on your glutes on each leg day, maybe increase this to 45 minutes. If you're training your glutes twice per week, this is an extra 30 minutes of glute work per week, which can go a long way if you do this consistently over time. Finally, something else I like to do within my training is add intensity techniques, specifically drop sets and supersets. A drop set is doing an extra set immediately after you finish your working set on an exercise. For example, on my last set of abductors here, I went to failure and then lowered the weight by 40% and performed more reps on this exercise. A superset, on the other hand, is performing 2 exercises straight after one another with minimal rest in between exercises. One of my absolute favourite supersets is dumbbell RDLs straight into dumbbell squats. Both drop sets and supersets are ways of getting even more out of your glute training, increasing the intensity and therefore stimulating muscle growth. So that's covered the training. Let's move on to part 2, which is the diet. As said earlier in the video, we know to get visible abs, you need to be at a low enough body fat percentage, and the only way of doing this is by being in a calorie deficit. With our goal of losing body fat and gaining muscle at the same time, we only want to be in a small calorie deficit. Because if we're in too much of a calorie deficit, it's likely you won't have the energy to push through your sessions and implement progressive overload as effectively as possible. So our plan here is to be in a 500 calorie deficit. My maintenance calories are around 3,000 and therefore I'm going to consume 2,000 calories per day. This should allow me to lose 1 pound of body fat per week. If you want to find out how to work out your calories, please give me a message over on Instagram, which I've linked below in the description of this video. It's likely my set calories are going to be different to yours. Everyone's maintenance calories are different and therefore everyone's calories will be different. So it's important for us to work out your maintenance calories so we know how we can put you in the most effective, sustainable calorie deficit possible. To stick to this calorie deficit, I mainly consume whole foods, such as lean protein like chicken, alongside low calorie, high volume foods like salads and potatoes. When it comes to snacks, I have plenty of protein shakes as an easy high protein source. With that being said, I also allow myself to have at least one treat a day. For example, a small pack of sweets or a bag of popcorn. I feel having things like this keeps my sweet tooth satisfied and keeps me on track with my diet. Now, when it comes to revealing your abs even more, I'd also recommend doing a little bit of ab training. When it comes to seeing your abs, the most important thing is the calorie deficit that we've talked about already. But physically training your abs can mean they pop out at a higher body fat percentage, meaning you can reveal your six pack even faster. When it comes to my ab training, I keep it nice and simple. I simply do 3 sets of rope crunches twice per week and 3 sets of hanging leg raises twice per week. By doing these 2 exercises, you're covering your upper and lower abs. The same as glute training, it's also important to make sure you're implementing progressive overload. So on the rope crunches, you may add some weight or increase the reps each time you perform the exercise. With the hanging leg raises, you can up the intensity. For example, if the hanging variation is too hard, you can start by doing the back supported variation and then progress over time towards the hanging version. If you're currently doing the hanging version, you can progress this over time to toes to bar. So family, that is the plan, and we are implementing this for at least the next 5 weeks. I'll be sure to keep you legends updated on my progress. I'd also love to hear from you. So if you need any help or want to update me with your progress, please give me a message over on Instagram. Next week, I'm going to be running you guys through my updated 2024 butt and leg workout. So if you haven't already, make sure to hit subscribe, and whilst you're at it, click the like button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss that video. As always, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you all so much. I'll catch you in the next one. Big love. H.